Suikoden is a game series that began in the PlayStation 1 console and is one of my all-time favorites. I did the challenge run on this game already, but I feel like I was not very true to the challenge of that video. I was supposed to do an attack-only run, but I blemished it by using Mega Medicines. Mega Medicines are very OP in this game. They heal for a total of 500 HP. This might seem like a small number as HPs usually range in the thousands, but in Suikoden 1, health values are only around 500 to 600 towards the late game. Despite not being a full heal, it does seem to work like one as you usually heal up when going around 20% HP or less to avoid the risk of dying. Healing is an essential part of RPG games, but how important is it? Today, we find out, can we beat Suikoden 1 without using Mega Medicines? Wait, I think we can take it a step further. Can we beat Suikoden 1 without healing? So, for the rules of the run, it is pretty simple. We are not allowed to restore our health. This means no medicine, no Mega Medicine, no passive healing or regeneration from equipments or runes, no inhaling, and no revives or sacrificial Buddhas. With the rules out of the way, let us begin the run. So of course we start by naming our hero No Heals, just to have a constant reminder of what not to do, or what to do. And we then immediately head to Rockland and play with our dear friend Marco here. Marco allows us to play for Poch, follow the cup with the coin underneath and win. For now, he is going to be our main source of Poch whenever we need it, as upgrading our weapons and armors require quite a lot of those. We will unlock a better source of Poch later on, so for now, Marco is our go-to person. I also, by the way, did not pick up the bonus of 50k Poch and the free fortune and prosperity orb. I felt like this gives the run an unfair advantage, and since we already have a secured Poch source now, we shall get the orbs soon enough. After earning some Poch through not so legal means, we head over to this town to upgrade our weapons to level 5 and buy better armor. This is very important as we want to receive as little damage as possible. With enough defense, you can get enemies to deal 1 damage, which is definitely appreciated. We also want to use the money as bribes to run away from monsters. Now, I don't really know what the monsters are going to do with the money that we're going to give them, but in order to reduce the number of resets, this is something we want to do until we are strong enough to use the let go command instead. Did you know that you can get your own prosperity or fortune orb for free? Yep, you can most definitely can. How you do this is pretty simple. If you want the fortune orb that doubles XP gain, bring only the hero to Saradi, or bring Ted with you to get the prosperity orb. Since I do foresee a lot of grinding to be needed in this run, I of course went for the fortune orb. But how in the world do I get there if I can't heal? Well, we do have a way to address that. There are random encounters in the overworld as well as inside dungeons. We need to identify which encounters we can manage to kill in one turn only. The problem is, we can't really select which enemies we encounter as they are random as I mentioned. This means that throughout this run, we are going to be resetting a lot of times. For now, we grind no heals to around level 7 to 8 so that we can use the let go command, which basically is us telling the monsters to run away else we bash them all to the ground. After reaching Saradi, you speak to this fellow right here and get awarded the fortune orb. We then pick up the rest of the first party here. We have Gremio, Pan, Cleo, and Ted, and level them up a bit and gear them up as well before we go ahead and proceed with the plot. We get welcomed by Locke here with our first mini boss fight, which turns out to be a clay doll that we can dispatch off easily. After 2 turns of smashing this doll around, he goes down, netting us our first victory. We also see here that we took 1 damage from his attacks because of how good our current gear is. This is only possible in the early game and will not be possible moving forward. Next up is the scripted fight with the Queen Ant. And although you are scripted to lose here, I think I learned something here while I was editing this video. If you kill the ants every turn, you can prevent her from ever attacking you, which is actually pretty amazing. Learned something new today. After this fight comes the Sidonia and Vargas fight next. Before we fight them though, they have us fight 5 random bandits which go down pretty easily. Now, this boss encounter is not that difficult to dispatch as we have decent levels on everyone. Do remember that we can't heal though, so in addition to beating enemies and bosses we encounter, we have to ensure we take as minimal damage as possible. This means that we should highly consider re-battling the bosses if we take too much damage. Because any damage we take means that the upcoming fights will get tougher and tougher. Here, I utilize Pan's Boar Rune for double damage on Sidonia, and I do get a lucky crit from no heals here on Varkas for a quick enough battle. We then meet Victor, a very high physical damage dealer that is going to be a mainstay on the party. He introduces us to the Liberation Army, and then we immediately get tasked to free the same guys we recently beat up. No boss fight here, but we do have to take out some guards around the prison area. Luckily, they are still not strong enough to deal significant damage to us. Challenge run easy? Well, for now it does seem so, but it does get tougher later on. After saving the 2 bandit leaders, we get accompanied by Odessa to deliver the Fire Sphere blueprints to a ninja and Saradi. Nothing major here, but as we get back to the hideout, it seems that we got ambushed and Odessa here has to make a sacrifice to save a child. We then save Matthew from some more weak soldiers and then get asked to secure a base of operations. This means that it is time for the zombie dragon fight. The zombie dragon fight is a very tough fight at our current state. On my first attempt, I did not have enough damage output to take it out. So, I had to grind some levels to get stronger, but it's not something we are very efficient at doing right now. The reason for that is we don't have a very good way of dealing with multiple enemies. We can only fight encounters where we can dispatch them off on the first turn. If not, we have to make a reset. On the second attempt to the zombie dragon, thanks to the additional levels and HP, we managed to kill the zombie dragon, but the entire party is now at death's door. This might seem like a problem right now as we can't really heal them for future fights, but coming up next is something very critical for us to be able to continue this run. We get a story heal. A story heal is a forced patch up to our party which brings everyone back up to full. Due to it being a forced heal, we can't really avoid it, so we shall allow this as a pass to the rules of this challenge run. There are more of these coming up in the run, but I did not know this when I was recording. I do know this probably exists in the game, as most RPGs do have them, so I will be pointing them out as they happen. Now that we have our own castle, it is time to get people to join our team. We are going to get all 108 stars of destiny here, not really for completionist sake, but to give us a lot more options in creating our future teams. We also get to solve one of the major problems we had prior to the zombie fight, which was dealing AoE damage, and we do have a recruit that can solve that for us. Chilling here on the bridge is Kai, who is actually the hero sensei who taught us how to use our weapons. This is also the first time we will be using Unite attacks. This is when characters combine their turns into combos, and Kai can do that with no heals. They can now combine their turns into an AoE attack that hits all enemies. Basically, the combo is leading with Master and Pupil attack, the Unite attack of Kai and no heals, and then hopefully finish any stragglers if there are any with the attacks from the remaining party members. This is how we are going to be grinding from now on until we can find something better. Unfortunately, Lepant's mission has some beefed up enemies, so grinding in this area is not possible. Fortunately, there are no boss fights here as well, just some more Imperial soldiers. Lepant here joins the party to help us take them out, but we are unable to upgrade his armors. So he takes significantly more damage from the enemies here than the rest of the party, which renders him unusable on future fights. We then meet Kirkis, an elf, that tells us that they need help. It is possible for the dwarves to help them here, but the dwarves, being who they are, refuse. In the dwarf village, we can actually now upgrade their weapons to level 12. We of course want this for more damage output, but unlike before, each hammer strike costs a fortune. You can try to grind monsters here and steal their gold, but similar to the Lepant dungeon, there are no easy mobs that go down easily without us taking damage. Remember I mentioned before that we will find a better source of potch? Well, this is the best time to do that. Normally, you recruit this person after the events here, but due to the need that we have right now for upgrades, we shall recruit him now. Gaspar here can be found at the same location you find Taiho and Yamku. To recruit him, you have to win 50k potch and show him you have Lady Luck. After this, you can now play with him inside your castle and forever solve your potch problem. Do save before gambling though, so that you don't zero out and then have to resort to monster grinding once more. Next up is the Gigantes, which is very kind on this particular run. Kind enough to never use his AoE attack even once on battle. This basically is what you want to happen on all fights. If the boss starts spamming AoE attacks, it's probably a reset for us. A few turns later, Gigantes goes down and we move on with the story. If the previous boss fight was pretty stingy with AoE attacks, this one is definitely not. Our next boss fight is against a dragon. Yep, this dragon's name is Dragon. And it just loves spitting fire all day, all night to our party. But worries aside, as there is another story kill coming up after this fight. The Triplet Pirates is up next, and here we take advantage of their fellow pirates. This is one of the few boss encounters that have multiple units. The best strategy here is to kill Leonardo first as he has the least health, followed by Angie and finally Kanak. Taiho and Yamku have a powerful unite attack called Fisherman Attack. It deals triple damage, which is around 800 at our current levels. This unite attack unbalances Taiho and Yamku, which basically prevents them from doing an attack on the next turn. To circumvent this, just slap on 2 turtle runes on both Taiho and Yamku, and you can go ahead and spam that attack every turn. This setup allows us to dispatch of these 3 pirates really quickly. This is also one of the first times I actually utilized Sky to be part of the boss killing party. His AoE Unite attack with no heals proves very useful in dealing damage to multiple enemies here. Later down the line, we get the win against these 3 pirates. Okay, Necklord, Necklord. This vampire is where I felt the challenge take a very big spike in difficulty. This is also where the HP of monsters increase drastically, which means it takes more damage to take them out right now. Suikoden has 108 Stars of Destiny as mentioned before. These are characters that can be recruited throughout the story, which add some flavor, life, and utility inside your castle. Some of these characters though are forced into your party. This adds another layer of difficulty to our challenge. If a unit takes damage during the current story segment, that unit, if it ever needs to be part of the party again, will now join you as a damaged unit. This also means that you do not have full control on who you want to be in your boss battles. On a normal playthrough, this is not really an issue, but we are not playing normally right now. We shall see this problem surface later on. My first few attempts in killing Necklord were pretty unsuccessful. I was in need of more power and ways to deal more damage. Luckily, there is a man in Ante who just has what we need. AK here is another Star of Destiny that has a very good rune that we want, the Double Jab rune. It allows any user to attack twice in a row in quick succession on a single turn. Perfect for physical damage dealers. Now, Victor would be a prime candidate for sure, but unfortunately, he is leaving us after the Necklord fight, and we do not have an opportunity to remove the rune from him. Instead, we give it to Hicks so that we can still transfer it after we beat Necklord to a different party member. I finally get an attempt that manages to kill the Necklord, but at the expense of leaving everyone basically at zombie levels of health. Necklord does not want to play fair because why would he? I do hope that there is another story heal coming right after this, right? Well, don't really know. Next up is the Crystal Guardian. While I am recording this is the only boss in the game that actually has a distinct face, both visually and mechanically. The annoying thing though about this boss is that as soon as you reach its second phase, it only uses AoE attacks. You will know that you are in the second phase when you are hitting that shiny red orb in the center. After a lot of deads and grinding to get powerful enough, we managed to get the kill, but similar to the fight against Necklord, everyone is either dead or with one foot in the grave. By the way, we did not get a story heal after Necklord if you're wondering about that. We are probably gonna get after this one, right? Well, I don't know. Four more bosses to go, and the next two are back to back. Yeah, you heard me. We have to fight the next two bosses one after the other. That means no saving in between and no changing party members. If you fail to kill Sonya, it's back to Venus Shell again. This means that we need to survive with as much HU as possible on the shell fight to even have a chance to fight Sonya fair and square. The Venus Shell is the first of the two. Venus Shell is weak to lightning, and therefore we want to bring this type of damage into this fight. Glenchiel is one of the generals of Tio that has already joined our team. He comes equipped with a Thunder Rune, which is an amped up version of the Lightning Rune. First few attempts were pretty tough, but we eventually managed to best the shell. I eventually got consistent in getting the kill on the Venus Shell, however, the challenge was really Sonya Shullin. Not really her mechanically, but because we are almost dead from the previous fight. We don't have enough health to survive her AoE attacks and even get a decent fight against her. So what do we do to even get past this point? Is the run over? Well, not really, and here's why. These bosses might seem like a chain that we can't break, but you don't actually have to fight these two bosses back to back. After killing the Venus Shell, and if you don't press anything after the fight, you're actually given back control of the hero. There are a few steps before the trigger for Sonya to appear at the entrance. And this means that if you don't move, you can actually save before the Sonya Shullin fight. This also means that you can change your party. I found this out entirely by accident, which gave me quite a lot of hope as I knew there was hope for the run to continue. The choice for the Sonya Shullin team was Taiho and Yamku for their insane fisherman attack, together with the combo of Jen and Kamandol for their stuck with you attack. We have enough damage to beat Sonya Shullin. Do take note that we are taking this fight with only those 4 members of the party alive. Thanks to our no healing restriction, no heals and Victor died during the Venus Shell fight. However, with enough perseverance and some decently good RNG, we managed to take the win against Sonya, bringing us down to 2 bosses before finally beating the game and completing the challenge. Hopefully, we get one final full heal before the last 2 bosses, right? Right? After making Lad fall back and grab Minster, which is where we started off in the story, this is what our final party looks like. 3 dead characters and 3 vacant slots left for us to fill. This is where it dawned on me. The final story heal that I thought I was going to get is not gonna happen anymore. The last story heal available in this game was before the Necklord fight. I was really hoping to get at least one before maybe the final battle, but unfortunately there is none. This is what I was hoping to use in order to win and defeat the game. I still have a plan though, on how I will manage the last bit. On my previous playthrough of this game, I know that I can grind stat items from monsters on Mount Seifu. The snails there drop prot rune pieces that can boost a character's defense by 1 point. Seems like a good plan before you realize that grinding this takes time, and to add insult to injury, you had to grind 3 characters for this. The drop rate is atrocious, and I don't think it is even going to be enough. The problem here is that even if I don't take that much damage, how do I even kill the last two bosses? How do I compensate for having only 3 units available? I do also have access to mag brought rune pieces that I can also grind similarly to brought rune pieces. Grinding this takes time, and this video will probably never go out if I decide to go with this plan. So, is this now the end of the run? Do I have any other options? What is the man to do in this challenge run? We reload the save file and do it all over again. This is what we have to do. This brings us back to Necklord. Now, it's not really Nectar we want to fight again here, but we want our health back. If you remember, we got the last story heal just before this fight, which is why everyone in the party is looking very healthy. Did I plan this before? Not really, but I thought it might be useful to have a backup save file. The game does allow you to have 16 save files, so I told myself I might need this. And apparently I did. Another thing that came about from this change is the use of runes. Let me explain. The reason you were not seeing that many rune attacks was because it was a limited resource for us. I basically ran out of spells pretty quickly, and the only way to restore spellcast is to rest at an inn. The restrictions of the run in a way made this happen. But I was thinking about the rules and thought about it a little more. Our rule is no healing is allowed, right? Healing is the act of restoring health to a unit. Now, what if the unit is not damaged? Is it still considered healing? Well, after searching Google, AI says it's not. Now, does that help us? Most definitely. Now we can utilize one of the best damage sources in the game, rune attacks. The only caveat of this is we have to use the N only when we have full HP units, which is where we are at right now. Again, we are not restoring a single point of health here. Rune attacks are very powerful in Suikoden, so much so that it's actually possible to take no damage from bosses. Luck will play a part here, but basically what needs to happen is, first, the boss must use a single target physical attack, and second, your character must have high enough dex stat to dodge the said attack. So, instead of bringing physical damage dealers here, it is time for the spellcasters to take center stage. For the Necklord fight, I have selected Cleo, Locke, and Lotte to deal our damage. Lightning is what we want as it is the most powerful damaging rune we have access to. Its level 4 Lightning Ball deals a base damage of 1000. Although Necklord is resistant to this, shocking someone repeatedly is eventually going to be enough to get the kill. After beating Lectord here, we do lose Lotte and Hicks, but we do have varied selection of other mages we can still field for the next few bosses remaining. The Crystal Guardian rematch is also fun with now having access to runes. This time around, we take advantage of the Crystal Core's weakness, which is the Earth element. If an enemy is weak to a certain element, they take double the damage. So the Earthquake spell deals 1400 base damage instead of only 700. We have so much damage here that it does not even get to attack during its second phase, which saves us a lot of health in the process. Venus Shell is up next, and even though this monstrosity has 1500 HP, everyone in the party except Victor just subs it out of existence as it is weak to lightning. Mina takes one hit from the boss here before we get the kill, which is one less mage, but also one less boss before we can finish the game. After replacing Mina with Ruby, another competent spellcaster, we beat Sonia Shalan as well as bring us back to where we left off from before. Another factor that has made the last 3 bosses easy is the rune ability of the hero. His level 4 ability deals 1500 damage that is unaffected by resistances. Our current level allows us to cast it 3 times before having to rest at an inn. I do want to note though that I had to reset multiple times to get a pattern where the boss does not use an AoE attack for its first 2 turns, so there's that. It did take a while to roll the luck needed, but we are now finally 2 more bosses away from completing the challenge. Aingid is up next. This is the first time we are fighting him in this challenge, but we do bring pain with the power of runes. He is only a bit beefier than Sonya at 8500 HP, which means that we can possibly take him out in 2 turns. This time, our party is full of rune-wielding units. Since Aingid is resistant to lightning, Earth Magic is the next most powerful rune we have, so we use that instead. Suikoden also has a range system, which we can now basically ignore. Even though short-range units cannot attack if they're in the backline, since we're only casting spells, it does not even matter. 2 turns later, Aingid goes down. Our sacrifice here is Spillage as he was chosen by Aingid for his single target attack. And at last comes the finale. The Golden Hydra Dragon thingy here. The only problem I have here is that it does not look like a Hydra to me. Anyways, I failed my first attempt on the boss as I forgot to give a Cyclone rune to Victor. The main strategy here we want to employ is just a shitload of AoE damage. Since we are dealing with 3 targets in this fight, each AoE cast gets triple the value. Of course, the heads have their own immunities in this fight, but looking at them closely, we definitely want Earth as our main element, as I think only the mid head resists it. I could have made this fight easier by grinding 2 more copies of Mother Earth rune, the best Earth damage rune available in this game, which you can get as a drop from the Colossus inside the palace. I was lucky enough to get one as a loot. Adding that together with the one you get from the chest from Moravia Castle and the one that comes with Hellion, we have 3 in total. For Hellion, Cleo, and Tengar, they are all using the Mother Earth rune. I would have grinded for 2 more for Flick and Victor, but I only plan to do this if I failed my second attempt. One thing I would also like to mention is the choice of having Flick and Victor use Cyclone runes. The reason you would want this is because higher tier runes compared to their lower tier variants have their level 4 spell moved up to level 3. Since physical or mixed type units have lower magic stat, they would most likely have only 0 to 1 cast of a level 4 spell. Using the higher tier variant circumvents this problem, allowing low magical characters to have access to more usage of the better spell. Now, without much to say, here's the final fight for the Golden Hydra. Enjoy! And with this last run, thank you very much for watching, subscribe for more challenge runs, comment down below on what you want to see next, and I'll see you all in the next video. Always remember, siege a day. Thank you again so much for watching.